Hello, everybody. In today's lesson, lesson 2.6, divide by two-digit divisors, our essential question is basically how can you divide by two-digit divisors? So in our previous lesson, lesson 2.5, we talked about how to estimate using two-digit divisors. So now we're going to take that idea of the estimating and apply it to the actual finding the actual quotient and remainder of a problem. All right, so we're on page 85. And so let's look at the unlock the problem. Mr. Yates owns a smoothie shop. To mix a batch of his famous orange smoothies, he uses 18 ounces of freshly squeezed orange juice. Each day, he squeezes 560 ounces of fresh orange juice. How many batches of orange smoothies can Mr. Yates make in a day? So, what we have to find is how many batches of orange smoothies he can make from 560 ounces of fresh orange juice if he uses 18 ounces for each smoothie. So our division problem would be 560 shared in sets of 18. So estimate. So remember we talked about that change the divisor to a number that's close to it, and then use a multiple of the digit in the tens place. So we can change 560 to 600. That would 6 would be the closest multiple to 560. So 600 divided by 20. Well, we've learned that if the dividend and divisor both end in zeros, we can cross out the end zeros because we're basically dividing by 10. And 600 divided by 10 is 60, and 20 divided by 10 is 2. So 60 divided by 2, that's 30. Half of 60 is 30. So we know that our answer not necessarily is going to be 30, but that our answer has to be we'll start in the tens place for the most part. So use the estimate to place the first digit in the quotient. The first digit of the quotient will be in the tens place. All right, so let's divide the tens. So 56 tens divided by 18. And we're going to multiply. So 18 times 3. 18 times 3 tens is 54. When we subtract, we get 2 tens left, which can't be shared with 18 groups. So 56 tens, take away 54 tens, equals 2 tens. Okay? And then when you subtract, after you subtract, you're just going to check to make sure that the number that you subtracted is smaller than the divisor. All right, so now we're going to move to the ones, right? So we had 2 tens left over. We're going to trade those for 21s, and we would bring down any ones that we already have. So we have 20 ones divided by 18. Well, you can only get one, right? If we have 18 groups, you'd only be able to put one in each group to get close to 20. All right, so we'd multiply 18 times 1. Now it would give us 18 ones. We'd subtract 20 ones minus 18 ones, and that would give us 2 ones left over. 2 cannot be shared with 18 groups. Okay, so we're saying our answer is 31 with a remainder of 2. Since 31 is close to the estimate of 30, the answer is reasonable. So Mr. Yates can make 31 batches of orange smoothies each day. He couldn't make a portion of a smoothie, right? So he'd either have to get more ounces of orange juice to get, he'd have to add 16 more ounces of orange juice to get one more smoothie, or he would just have to, that would just be left over, those 2 extra ounces. Okay. All right. So page 86. Every Wednesday, Mr. Yates orders fruit. He has set aside $1,250 to purchase Valencia oranges. Each box of Valencia oranges costs $41. How many boxes of Valencia oranges can Mr. Yates purchase? Right, so he has $1,250 to spend on oranges. A box costs $41. So we need to share the $1,250 with 41, with sets of 41. What would our estimate be? Well, my divisor would be 40. And I know that a multiple of 4 is 12, so I'm just going to keep 1,250 as 1,200. So my estimate would be 120 divided by 4 would be 30. Okay. So I know my first number of my quotient is going to be in the tens place. So 41 times 3. 3 times 1 is 3. 3 times 4 tens is 12 tenths. So 123. Subtract, we're left with 2. Okay. 2 cannot be shared with 41 groups. So I'm going to trade the 2 tens for 21s, bring down any ones that I already have. So 20 divided by 41. Well, you can't do that, right? 20 is too small. So we're going to put a 0 in the quotient to show that. And 0 times 41 is 0. Subtract, we're going to get 20 left over. So he can buy 30 boxes of Valencia oranges. Now, as we divide, there's no reason to miss a division problem, because if we multiply the quotient by the divisor, we should get the dividend. All right, so 41 times 30, we see that 1 times 30 is 30. Move to the tens, and 40 times 30 is 1,200. Let's add that together. We get 1,230. Well, you look over here and that doesn't match, right? But remember, there's a remainder of 20. So we take the answer we got from initially multiplying the quotient and the divisor and add any remainder. When we add, we do see that we get 1,250. And so our answer checks. All right. So that's what we're going to be doing today. So now we're going to divide, and then we'll check our answer. And I would recommend that we do estimate each of our answers. So this first one, I'm going to write that my estimate is going to be some number divided by 60. So what is a multiple of 6 that is close to 756? Well, I would just use 600. Okay, because the next multiple of 6 is 12, and that would be much further away from 700 than 600 would be. So if we eliminate the end zeros of the divisor and dividend, that leaves us 60 divided by 6, which is 10. So I would expect my answer to be in the tens place. So 75 divided by 63. Well, 63 times 110 is 63 tens. Subtract that, we're left with 12 tens. I can't share 12 tens with 63 groups. So I'm going to trade those 12 tens for 121s and bring down any ones that I already have. 63 times what is 126? Well, my estimate was 10, right? So I know my quotient should be somewhere close to 10. 63 times 2 might work. 63 times 2 ones. 63 ones. Sorry. 63 times 2 ones. How many ones is that? 2 times 3 is 6. 2 times 6 tens is 12. 126. Okay, so yeah, that would work. And we'd be left with a remainder of 0. So we're saying our answer is 12. So let's check that by multiplying the divisor by the quotient. Quotient is 12. Divisor is 63. When we multiply, it should give us the dividend 756. 2 times 3 is 6. 6 times 2 is 12. Multiply by the tens. 1 10 times 3 is 3 tens. And 110 times 6 tens is 60. I'm sorry, 1 times 6 10 is 6 tens. All right, so to add those together, 6 plus nothing is 6. 3 plus 2 is 5. And 6 plus 1 is 7. And we notice that that answer does match the dividend. All right, B. 4,692 divided by 22. My estimate, I will change the divisor to 20. And I'm going to keep the first digit 4 because 4 is a multiple of 2. And I'm going to change 4,692 to just 4,000. Okay, let's eliminate the end zeros. And we have 400 divided by 2. Well, that's 200. So we would expect our first digit to be in the tens place. I'm sorry, in the hundreds place, because it's 200. So in the hundreds place. So how many 22s can I take from 46? Well, that would be 2. Because if I double 22, that would be 44. So 2 times 22, 2 tens times 22 is 44 tens. Subtract, that gives me 2 tens left over, which can't be shared with 22. So we're going to exchange those 200s for 20 tens and bring down the 9 tens that we already have. So 22 times 110 is 22 tens, and we'll be left with 7 tens. Trade those for 71s, bring down the 2 ones. How many sets of 22 can I take from 72? Well, I can't take 4 sets. That would be 88. So 3 sets. So 22 times 3. I want to go back and correct something. I've noticed that I wrote the wrong place value here. When I said 2 tens times 22, I meant to say 2 hundreds times 22, which would give me 44 hundredths. Okay. All right, so now we're left with 72 ones. And we're saying 22 times 3 ones, which would be 66 ones. If we subtract, we're left with 6 left over. I can't share that with 22. So 213, remainder 6. Now let's just not assume that's right. Let's multiply 213 by 22. And then we'll have to add the remainder 6 at the end. 2 times 213 is 426. 2 times 3 is 6. 2 times 1 is 2. And 2 times 2 is 4. Let's move to multiply by the tens. 20 times 213. 2 times 3 is 6. 2 times 1 is 2. 2 times 2 is 4. And add those together. 6, 8, 6, 6. 4, I mean. So 4,686 plus the remainder 6. 6 plus 6 is 12. Regroup as 110 and 2 ones. 8 tens plus 110 is 9. So 4,692. And that does match our dividend. Okay, so let's move on. Number 1. on page 87. So 620 divided by 28. My estimate would be 600 divided by 30. Cross out the end zeros. 60 divided by 33 is 20. So my first digit has to be in the tens place. So let's try 28 times 2 tens. 28 times 2 is 56. Subtract, we're left with 6 tens. 6 tens can't be shared with 28 groups. So trade those for 60 ones and bring down any ones that we already have, which in this case it's 0. So 60 divided by 28. Well, we know that 2 would work again because 2 times 58, 2 times 28 is 56. And that would leave us with a remainder of 4. So we're saying our answer is 22 remainder 4. Well, let's check our answer. 28 times 22. We know 2 times 8 is 16. We regroup that as 1, 10, and 6 ones. 2 times 2 is 4, plus the regrouped is 5. So we have 2 times 28 is 56. Let's move to the tens. 2 times 8 is 16. Regroup, and we have 560 for the tens. Add those together, we get 616. But we do have a remainder of 4. 6 plus 4 is 10. Regroup that as 1, 10, and 0 ones. 1 and 1 is 2 tens, 620. So those answers match. All right, 22. 22. Could only hope, right? All right, number 2. 842 divided by 64. So where I was have an estimate of 600 divided by 60, which would be 10. Okay, so our first digit should be in the tens place, and 64 times 1 is 64. We subtract, we'd be left with 20, which can't be shared with 64 groups. So trade that for 21s and bring down the 2 ones that we already have. So 64 times what is close to 202? I'm going to try 3. 3 times 4 is 12. Regroup that as 1, 10, and 2 ones. 3 times 6 is 18, plus the regroup 10 is 19. So 192 taken from 202. Well, 20 take away 19 is 1, right? So with the remainder of 10. With the remainder of 10. So we're saying our answer is 13 remainder 10. Let's check it. I'm going to use scratch paper to check my answer. 64 times 13 plus the remainder 10. 3 times 64 is 12, 192. 3 times 4 is 12. We'll regroup that as 1, 10, and 2 ones. 6 times 3 is 18, plus the regrouped 10, 19. 64 times 10 is just 640. Add that together. We get 832. We do have a remainder of 10. So 842, that does check and match the dividend. All right, number 3. 2,340. My estimate will be 2,000 divided by 50. Cross out the end zeros. 200 divided by 5 is 40. So my first digit should be in the tens place. And I'm going to try 4. 53 times 4. 4 times 3 is 12. Regroup as 1, 10, and 2 ones. 5 times 4 is 20, plus the regroup 10, 21. That gives me 22 left over, which is smaller than the divisor. So trade those for 22 ones. And bring down the 0 ones. The 0 ones we already had. All right, we're going to use 4 again because 212 is close to 220. And we get a remainder of 8. Let's check our answer. 44 times 53 and add any remainder. Okay, so 3 times 44 is 132. Let's move to the tens. 5 times 4 is 20. 5 times 4 is 20 plus the 2 regrouped tens, 22. So we have 2,332 plus our remainder of 8. 8 plus 2 is 10. Regroup as 1 10 and 0 ones. 3 tens plus the regroup 10 is 4. 2,340, which is matching our dividend. Number 4, 723 divided by 30. So I'm going to have an estimate of 600 divided by 30. Cross out the end zeros, and I have an estimate of 20. 60 divided by 30. 60 divided by 3 is 20. All right, so 723 divided by 31. So our first digit's in the tens place. 2 might work. 2 times 31 is 62. Subtract, we're left with 10. Bring down the 3 ones that are left. 31 times what is close to 103? Well, I know that 62 from 100, that's 40, so that's not quite big enough. Let's try 31 times 3. 3 times 1 is 3. 3 times 3 is 9. Yes. Okay, so 3 times 31 is 93. Subtract. 10 take away 9 is 1, so we get a remainder of 10. So 23, remainder 10. Let's check our answer. $23 times 31, and we'll have to add the remainder 10. All right, so 23 times 31 is 713. Add the remainder 10, and it matches the dividend 723. All right, number 5. 1,359 divided by 45. So we can either go 50 or 40. Okay, so we're just getting kind of an idea of what our answer would be. So I'm going to use 1,200 divided by 40. Some of you might want to try 1,500 divided by 50. So 120 divided by 4 is 30. All right, so let's try 3. What is 45 times 3? 135. So that worked out great. Okay, bring down the 9 ones. You can't share that with 45, right? So that's going to be a 0. 45 times 0 is 0. So we have a remainder of 9. So right now we're saying our answer is 30, remainder 9. Multiply the divisor 45 by our quotient of 30. And then we would add any remainder, right? So I'm at 1,350 right now. And there was a remainder of 9. So 1,359 does match the dividend. Number 6, 7,925 divided by 72. Okay, on this one, I'm going to go ahead and skip the estimate on this because I see right away that 79 divided by 72, I can take 1, right? So 72 times 100 is 72 hundredths. Subtract, we're left with 7. 7 hundredths, let's trade those for 70 tens, bring down the 2 tens we already have. 72 divided by 72 is 1. Subtract, we're left with 0. Bring down the 5 ones. That can't be shared, so we have a remainder of 5. Let's check our answer. We're saying 72 times 110 with a remainder of 5 should match our dividend. So 2 times 110 is 220. Move to the tens. 7 times 110 is 770. So we're at 7,920 and our remainder was 5. $7,925, and that matches the dividend, 7,925. Right, number 7. Divide and check your answer. Number 7. So 346 divided by 16, my estimate would be 400 divided by 20. Cross off the end zeros, and we get an answer that's close to 20. So let's try 16 times 2. 32 is smaller than 34, so subtract. I am left with 2. Bring down the 6 ones. 16 times 1 is 16. Subtract, we're left with 10. So 21, remainder 10. Check your answer. 21 times 16, and add the 10. Okay. So we see that 21 times 16 gives me 336. If I add the remainder of 10, I get 346, which matches the dividend, 346. And number 8, 421 divided by 34. I'm just going to use 400 divide by actually, I'm going to keep 34 close to 30. So I'm going to use 300 divided by 30, which is 10. How many 34s can I take from 42? 34 times 1 is 34. Subtract, we're left with 8. Trade those for 81s, bring down the ones we already have. 81. Let's try 34 times 2. 2 times 4 is 8. 2 times 3 is 6. Subtract, we're left with 13. Okay, so that would work. So we're saying our answer is 12, remainder 13. I'm going to check your answer. Multiply the divisor by the quotient. 34 times 12. 2 times 4 is 8. 2 times 3 is 6. 110 times 4 is 4. And 1 times 3 is 3. Add those together. 408. Okay, well, our dividend was 421. Right now I'm at 408. So why doesn't it match? Because I haven't added the remainder. So add 13 to the 408. 8 plus 3 is 11. Regroup as 110 and 1, 1. 1 and 110 is 2. 421. That does match. Okay, let's move on to number 9. All right, 851 divided by 77. I'm going to go ahead and skip the estimate on this one because I know that 77 is really close to 85. So I know I can only get one set of 77s from 85. All right, so that leaves me with 8 10s. I'm going to trade those for 81s and bring down the 1 1. 81 divided by 77 is still going to be 1. And we get a remainder of 4. All right, I'm going to just go ahead and do the check right here on the book. Okay, divisor times the quotient. 847. But I have to add the remainder 4. And I get 851. That matches the dividend. All right, number 10. 1,098 divided by 21. So my estimate would be 1,000 divided by 20. Eliminate the end zeros. 100 divided by 2 is 50. All right, so let's try that. 5 times 21. 5 times 1 is 5, and 5 times 2 is 10. Subtract, we get 4 left over. So that works out great. Trade that for 41s and bring down the 8 ones we already have. 48 divided by 21. Now I'm just going to try 2. 2 times 21. 2 times 2 is 4, so 42. And we have a remainder of 6. So 52, remainder 6. All right, let's multiply that to find out. 52 times 21. 1 times 2 is 2. 1 times 5, 5. Let's move to the tens. 2 tens times 2 is 4 tens. 20 times 50 is 1,000. 1,092. Well, our dividend was 1,098. So that, remember, we haven't added the remainder. So 1,092 plus the remainder 6. 6 and 2 is 8. 9 plus nothing is 9. 0, 1. 1,098. That matches, right? Okay. Number 11. 6,466 divided by 32. My estimate will be 6,000 divided by 30. Eliminate the end zeros. So we have an answer of about 200. So I can't take any 32s from 6,000. So 6,400s, I can take 2. What is 2 times 32? 64. So that's 0. Bring down the 6 tens. Can't share that with 32, right? So let's show that with a 0. Subtract, we're left with 6 tens. I'm going to trade those for 61s and bring down the other 6 ones. Okay, we know 32 times 2 is close to 66. So let's put it 2. Subtract, we get a remainder of 2. So number 11, we're saying our answer should be 202, remainder 2. Let's check that. Two times 2 is 4. 2 times 0 is 0. 2 times 2 is 4. Let's move to the tens. 3 times 2 is 6. 3 times 0 is 0. 3 times 2 is 6. Okay, 64, 64, and our remainder was 2. So 2 plus 4 is 6, and then 6 plus nothing is 6. 400s plus nothing is 4. 6,000s plus nothing is 6,000. 6,466 does match the dividend, so our answer is correct. Number 12, 9,500 divided by 45. So we could say 10,000 divide by 50. Eliminate one of the end zeros, and we're saying our answer is 1,000 divided by 5, so about 2,000. Well, that doesn't make sense, right? Because I can't take 245 from 9. So let's try something different. Let's try an estimate of 40. So 8,000 divided by 40. Cross off the end zeros, and we'll get an answer of 200. All right, so let's try 2. 45 times 2 is 90. Yep, that will work. We're left with 5. We bring down the 0. 50 divided by 45, that's obviously 1, right? 1 times 45 is 45. Subtract. We have 5 left. So 5 tens, trade those for 51s. Bring down the 0 ones. And again, it's 1. Subtract. We're going to be left with 5. So 211, remainder 5. Okay, so let's try that. 211 times 45. 5 times 1 is 5. 5 times 1 is 5, and 5 times 200 is 1,000. Let's move to the tens. 4 times 1 is 4 tens. 4 times 40 times 10 tens is 400. And 40 times 200 is 8,000. Add that together. We're at 9,495. And we said our remainder was 5. So if you add 5 to 9,495, you're at 9,500. That matches. Okay. All right, number 13. 483 divided by 21. Well, let's just go 400 divided by 20 as our estimate. Cross the end zeros out. 40 divided by 2, we're at 20. All right, so 21 times 2 is 42. That will work. Subtract, we're left with 6 tens. Trade those for 61s and bring down the 3 ones. 63 divided by 21. 21 times 3 is 63. So we're saying our answer is 23 with no remainder. So 23 times 21 should give us 483. 3 times 1 is 3. 1 times 2 tens is 2 tens. Let's move to the tens. 20 times 3 is 60. 20 times 20 is 400. So we get 483. It matches the dividend. We move on to 14. All right, so we expect our answer to be about 100. All right, so how many 19s can we take from 22 hundreds? Just one. That leaves us 3 hundreds. We'll trade that for 30 tens and bring down the 9 tens. 19 times 2, 19 plus 19 is 38. Subtract, we're left with 110. We'll trade the 110 for 10 ones and bring down the 2 ones. So 12 ones cannot be shared with 19 groups. So we'll have 0, which gives us a remainder of 12. So 120, remainder 12. Check our answer. 120 times 19. 9 times 0 is 0 ones. 9 times 2 tens is 18 tens. Regroup as 108 tens. 9 times 100 is 900 plus the regrouped 100, 1,000. Let's move to the tens. And 120 times 1 is 120. Add that together. We are at 2,280. And we had a remainder of 12. So add the 12. 2, 9, 2, 2. 2,292. That does match our dividend. And 15. 4,255 divided by 30. Well, I'm just going to have an estimate of 3,000 divided by 30. Okay, cross off the end zeros. And we have 300 divided by 3. Well, we know that that's 100. So 4,255 divided by 30. So we'd expect our quotient to start in the hundreds place. So how many 30s can I take from 42? Just one. 30 times 1 is 30. Subtract, we're left with 12. 12 can't be shared with 30. So we're going to trade those 12 hundreds for 120 tens and bring down the 5 tens. 30 times what is close to 125? Well, I know 4 times 3 is 12, so I'm going to try 30 times 4. All right, 120. Subtract, we're left with 5 tens. All right, so let's trade those 5 tens for 50 ones and bring down the 5 ones. Well, I can only get one set of 30 from 55, and that leaves me a remainder of 25. 141, remainder 25. Check your answer. 141. 141 times 30. Okay. I know my product's going to end in a 0 because I'm multiplying by a multiple of 10. And so 3 times 1 is 3. 3 times 4 is 12. Regroup that. It's 3 times 1 is 3. Plus the regroup, 4,230. And we also had a remainder of 25. So add the 25. We're at 4,255, which matches the dividend. So our answer is correct. All right, 16 through 21. More of the same. So we're just going to divide and check our answer. There's not enough space on our book here to do all the work, so make sure you do it on a scratch piece of paper. So number 16. 775 divided by 35. All right, so I would say my estimate would be 600 divided by 30. So 60 divided by 3 is 20. 35 times 2. is 70. Subtract, we're left with 7 tenths. Okay. Trade those 7 tenths for 71s and bring down the 5 ones. 75 divided by 35. Well, you get 2 again, right? Subtract, and we have 5 left over. So we're saying our answer is 22 remainder 5. Okay. So check your answer. $35 times 22. 2 times 35 is 70. Let's move to the tens. And again, 35 times 20 this time would be 700. So 770 plus the remainder 5 gives us 775. That matches the dividend. So the answer is 22 remainder 5. 17. $17 is 820 divided by 40. Divided by 41. All right. So my estimate would be 800 divided by 40. 80 divided by 4, 20. Let's try 2. 41 times 2. Well, that's 82, right? Awesome. Gives me 0. Bring down the 0 ones. I can't get any 41s from that. So 0 times 41 is 0. Subtract, we get 0. So we're saying our answer is 20. Let's check it. 41 times 20. We know the answer's product's going to end in a 0. 2 times 41 is 820. That matches. So our answer is 20. Number 18. 805 divided by 24. $805 divided by 24. So my estimate is going to be 800 divided by 20. So I should get an answer close to 40. So let's try 40. 24 times 4. 96. Okay, so 24 times 4, that's going to be too big, right? So let's try 24 times 3. 72, that works better. Okay, so subtract. We're left with 8. Let's bring down the 5. So we have 85 divided by 24. We already know 24 times 4 is too big, so we're going to use 3 again. 3 times 24 is 72. And so we have 33 remainder 13. Let's see if we're right. 24 times 33 and add the 13. 3 times 4 is 12. 3 times 20 is 60. Plus the regroup 10, 72. All right, well, we're multiplying by the same digit except we're in the tens. So add those together. 792 plus 13. We get 805. That matches. So 33 remainder 13. Number 19. 1,166 1,166 divided by 53. All right, my estimate, I'm going to use 1,000 divided by 50. Cross off the end zeros. 100 divided by 5 is 20. So let's try 53 times 2. Is 106. That'll work. Okay. Trade those for 100 ones, bring down the 6 ones. Well, we just said that 2 times 53 is 106, so that's great. Subtract, we get 0. So we're saying our answer is 22. So 53 times 22. 2 times 53 is 106. Move to the tens. It's going to be the same number, except in the tens place. So 2 times 53 is again 106. So 20 times 53 is 1,060. We get 1,166. Matches the dividend. Our answer is 22. All right, let's go to number 20. 1,989 divided by 15. Okay, I'm going to skip the estimate on this one because I see that 19 is close to 15. So I know it's going to be 100. Subtract, I get 400s left. Let's trade those for 40 tens and bring down the 8 tens. 15 times what is close to 48? I'm going to try 3. 3 times 5 is 15. 3 times 1 is 3. Plus the regroup, 45. All right, so we have 3 tens left. Let's trade those for 31s and bring down the 9 ones. So 15 times 3 is too big, so let's try 15 times 2. That's 30. Okay. Subtract, we're left with 9. So we're saying our answer is 132, remainder 9. We can check that. Multiply the quotient by the divisor and add any remainder. 5 times 132. 5 times 2 is 10. Regroup as 1 10 and 0 ones. 5 times 3 tens is 15 tens. Plus the regroup 10, 16 tens. Regroup that as 100 and 6 tens. 5 times 100 is 5. Plus the regrouped 100 is 6. Let's move to the tens. And we know that 10 times 132 is going to be 1,320. Add those together. We're at 1,980. And we had a remainder of 9. 9 plus nothing is 9. 8, 10s, 900s, and 1,000. That does match. So our answer for number 20 is 132, remainder 9. And 21. 3,927 divided by 35. Okay, I'm going to skip the estimate on this one because I see 3,900s divided by 35 would be 1. 1 times 35. 100 times 35 is 3,500. Subtract, I'm left with 400s, which can't be shared with 35. Exchange that for 41s and bring down 40 tens and bring down the 2 tens. Well, that's going to be 1 again. Subtract that, we have 7 tens. Trade those 7 tens for 71s and bring down the 7 ones. I know that if I double 35, that's 70. So 35 times 2 is 70 with a remainder of 7. All right, so right now we're saying our answer is 112 with a remainder of 7. 112 times 35. 5 times 2 is 10 ones, regroup as 1 10 and 0 ones. 5 times 1 10 is 5 tens, plus the regroup 10 is 6. And 5 times 100 is 500. Move to the tens place. 30 times 2 is 60. 30 times 10 is 300. And 30 times 100 is 3,000. So we're at 3,920. and there was a remainder of 7. 3,927 matches. Okay, so our answer is 112, remainder 7. Okay, 22. Use the list at the right to solve questions 22 through 24. So smoothie main ingredients. All right, so it's basically our recipes, right? It's telling us how many ounces of juice go in each of the smoothies. Okay, so 22. A smoothie shop receives a delivery of 968 ounces of grape juice, 720 ounces of orange juice. How many more Royal Purple smoothies than Orange Tango smoothies can be made with a shipment of juices? Okay, so 968 ounces of grape juice. So we would use grape juice in the Royal Purple smoothies. So we'd have 968 divided by 22. It takes 22 ounces of grape juice. And then we have 720 ounces of orange juice shared by groups of 18, because it takes 18 ounces of orange juice to make the other drink. All right, so the key part of this says how many more. So once we find the quotient of both of these drinks, we're going to have to subtract. All right, so I would have an estimate for the first one of 1,000 divided by 20. Cross off the end zeros. I would expect my answer to be about 50. 22 times 5. That's 110. That's too big, right? So let's try 4. 88. Okay, so that's better. So subtract. We're left with 8 tens. Let's trade that for 81s and bring down the 8 ones. All right, I know 4 times 20 is 80. So we just did 4 times 22 is 88. Subtract, we get 0. All right, so I can make 44 Royal Purple smoothies. Let's try the Orange Tango smoothies. So my estimate for this one would be 800 divided by 20. So I'd expect my answer to be about 40. So let's try that. 18 times 4. That's 72. Subtract, we get 0. Bring down the 0 ones. How many 18s can you get from 0 ones? None, right? So we have 0 remaining. We have answer of 40. So 44, take away 40, you can make 4 more Royal Purple smoothies. All right, 23. The shop has 1,260 ounces of cranberry juice, 650 ounces of passion fruit. If the juices are used to make crazy cranberry smoothies, which juice will run out first? How much of the juice will be left? How much of the other juice will be left over? Okay, so we have 1,260 divided by how many ounces of cranberry juice do we use per drink? 20 ounces. And then passion fruit, 650 divided by 10. All right. So these are nice numbers actually, right? So I know that both of these numbers end in, the dividend ends in 0, the divisor ends in 0. I can cross those out. So we just basically have 126 divided by 2. Well, 6 times 2 is 12. Subtract, we get 0. Bring down the 6 tens. we're left with 63. So I can make 63 cranberry smoothies with that amount. And 650 divided by 10, again, dividend and divisor both end in zero, so let's cross those out. 65 divided by 1, 65. So which juice will run out first? The cranberry juice. How much of the other juice will be left over? Okay, so if we only make 63 drinks, 63 times 10 is 630. So 650, take away 630, there would be 20 ounces left over. 20 ounces of passion fruit left. It's over. Okay, 24. In the refrigerator, there are 680 ounces of orange juice and 410 ounces of mango juice. How many orange tango smoothies can be made, and explain your reasoning? All right, so we have 680 ounces of orange juice, and it takes 18 ounces per drink, and mango juice 410, and we're going to use 12 ounces per drink. Okay, remember we can only make as many drinks as the juice that's going to run out quickest. So 680 divided by 18. I'm going to use an estimate of 600 divided by 20. So I would expect my answer to be about 30 for the orange juice part of the drink. 18 times 3, 54. Okay, so subtract, we're left with 14. Let's trade those for 141s, bring down the 0 ones. So 140 times, let's try 6. It's 108. Oh, we can get more than that. 18 times let's try 7. 18 times 7. 8 times 7 is 56. 7 times 1, 10 is 7 tens, plus 5 more is 12 tens. Okay, I think that'll work. We'd be left with a remainder of 14. So there's going to be 14 ounces left over for this one, so we can make 37 drinks from that. 12 divided into 410. Well, I know 3 12s would work, leaving me with 5 10s. Trade those for 51s. Bring down the 0 ones. I know 4 times 12 is 48. So subtract, would be left with 2. So, how many orange tango smoothies can be made? Only 34. Orange tango smoothies. The mango juice can only make 34 drinks before running out of juice. Okay. So 34 orange tango drinks. the mango juice can only make 34 drinks before running out of juice. And the last question. True or false? Select true or false for each statement. Is 1,585 divided by 16, 99 remainder 1? Well, all we have to do is multiply the quotient 99 by 16 and add any remainder, and we should get the dividend. So 99 times 6. Nine times 6 ones, 54 ones. Regroup that as 5 tens and 4 ones. Again, 9 10 times 6 is 54 tens plus 5 more is 59 tens. Move over to the tens, and so basically we have 99 times 10 is 990. 4, 9 and 9 is 18 tens. Regroup as 108 tens. 9 and 1 is 10, and 5 more is 1,584. And we said there was a remainder of 1. 1,585. That does match. So yes, that's true. All right, and how about 1,473 divided by 21 is 70 remainder 7. Let's multiply. So 21 times 70, and then add 7. We know the product's going to end in 0, so we have 7 times 21, which is 1,470, and we have a remainder of 7. Which is 1,477. That does not match, so false. Okay. So that was a lengthy lesson, not necessarily in the division part, but if we do take the time to check our answer, which does take a little more time, but you're certain your answer is right, it's worth it. So in our next lesson, we'll be talking about interpreting the remainder in lesson 2.7. So until then, I will see you soon.